our country. Of course, explosion at the Pentagon, the plane that went down in Pennsylvania. And so just remembering that day and honoring the first responders who responded by the thousands to those sites to try to rescue as many people as possible. And frankly, first responders who years later continued to have the effects, the health effects. So just in appreciation to our first responders, I also recall how much our country pulled together at that time of crisis. And so that was a positive outcome. So at any rate, today's 9/11. Take a minute to remember 9/11, what happened on that day, and how we pulled together. Okay, my next topic is, of course, COVID. And yesterday, we in the city of St. Louis only had 19 new cases reported. We're down now to an average, 7-day average of the cases reported to being just a little bit under 30 on average per day. The hospitalization numbers are still stubbornly higher than we want them to be. 267 people in the confirmed COVID in the hospital. 79 confirmed in the ICU and 49 on ventilators. That, of course, represents people in the 4 hospital systems in the region, not just the city of St. Louis. So patients admitted yesterday, 28. It was 29 the day before, 42, 31. So those numbers are looking a bit better. Not significantly better, but a bit better. And it's because all of you, all of us are wearing our masks, social distancing. We know that we still do have the highest number of new cases is still in the 20 to 30-year-olds. And so we continue to be concerned about that because even though you're more likely to have a better outcome if you are younger, when you are positive for COVID, you still can expose other people. And even though you might have a better outcome than, say, I would have, just because of age, you still have, it can still have very negative effects. So we are still all trying to coexist with COVID, and appreciate everybody's sacrifices that you're making to do that. We know that it's not easy, particularly those people that are out of work or who have had their hours cut. They're being very negatively affected by the downturn in the economy, which is a result of COVID. Third thing I want to talk about. You may have seen this. We posted it yesterday on our social media. But I think it's important. We have an election here in about 55 days, give or take. And so the election board, St. Louis City Election Board, yesterday announced that there will be 4 off-site, we're calling it, absentee voting locations. You will begin being able to vote absentee, in-person absentee, on October the 12th, so that's about 3 weeks before Election Day. And you'll be able to do it at one of 4 St. Louis public libraries. Julia Davis Library at 4415 Natural Bridge. Central Library downtown, 1301 Olive. Schlafly Library in the Central West End, 225 North Euclid. And Booter Library South, which is at 4401 Hampton. So those locations will be open Monday through Friday. And I'm going to give you the hours, but it's the same hours as the libraries are open. So Monday through Friday, let me look at, I want to tell you wrong here. Where is it? Why don't I see this? Here we go. Sorry. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. From 1 to 7. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday from 11 to 5. Wednesday and Thursday from 1 to 7. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse that. It's the same hours as the libraries are open. I think it gives some good flexibility to people because it's got some 2 days a week you can vote there after 5 o'clock. So that'll be helpful to some people. So I think that's something that we have never done before in the city of St. Louis, and that is to have remote in-person absentee voting. And so I think for those of you who want to do that, that's a really good opportunity. A couple of weeks ago, the Board of Estimate and Apportionment approved $60,000 in additional funding for the election board because they need to staff those remote polling places for the 3 weeks before the election. And so that costs some funding. The other thing, the election board is still in need of people to work the polls. So that would be folks to go, when you go in to vote on election day, check you in, have you sign, give you the ballot, give you instructions. So if any of you are able, please call the election board or go online, even better, and apply to become an election worker. You will get trained. You will be paid for the day, and it's just, I think, a really worthwhile community service to do. So for any of you that may have election day off, or maybe you have the opportunity to take that day off, or maybe you're retired, please consider being a poll worker. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about something that's happening tomorrow. Pretty excited about this. It's Clean Sweep. Those of you that have been following me for a long time know that Clean Sweep has been going on for a few years, and it is a project where the city of St. Louis works with the Regional Business Council, works with the Urban League, and works with a number of contractors who are volunteering their time and talents. I'm going to just tell you who these are right now. Kwame, Keeley Construction, McCarthy, SM Wilson, Rock, Hillsdale Demolition, iHeartRadio is a sponsor. So working with a number of people to come together it started out to be demoing buildings, the worst first we called it, because nothing good happens in a vacant building. But tomorrow, this is really expanded to where several things are happening tomorrow. There'll be a cleanup in Peace Park. All this is along Grand, by the way, from the Rock Church up to the water tower. The water tower, the Grand Water Tower, the white water tower, that's been there since the 1870s, I believe, was when it was built. And of course, it was originally built to allow water pressure to come to the houses around in the surrounding areas. But it hasn't been painted since the 1940s. And so we put a new roof on it. And tomorrow, Fred Weber, who I didn't mention earlier, but Fred Weber's a lead in this. Tomorrow, Fred Weber is going to be painting the water tower. And so I think, they have cranes that will be there that'll be able to get up there. They have sprayers. They have special paint. And so I just want to say thank you to Fred Weber for that. That's going to make a difference just in what the water tower looks like. And by the way, the water tower is the tallest freestanding Corinthian column in the world. I thought that was kind of an interesting, probably little known fact. So, when they'll be able to get it all done, assuming it doesn't rain, they should be able to get it all done in one day tomorrow. And they've got all the equipment that's ready to go, and the paint's ordered, and their employees are ready to work on that. So the water tower will be painted. Peace Park will be cleaned up. There'll be cleanup in some of the alleys. There'll be cleanup, picking up trash along Grand. There are several derelict buildings that will be demolished. There will be mammogram available to get mammograms there, available to get PPE. There are 40 neighborhood churches that are involved. So this has really turned out to be an expanded effort for clean sweep. One of the things that you may have seen on my social media yesterday is that there's a gentleman, a chef, who now has a little herd of goats, and so there'll be goats there that are going to be helping to eat the grass, mow down the weeds. That's kind of fun. It's very effective, and we appreciate that, because that'll be a big help as well. Yesterday there was a little press conference about this. I got to pet a couple of the goats, so just a little fun on a very serious day of 9/11. But tomorrow, back helping to really clean up that area of North Grand from the Rock Church up to the water tower. And so thank you to all of these companies and all the hundreds of volunteers that will be there tomorrow to help. Really sincerely appreciate that. And those were the 4 things I wanted to chat about. Do we have questions, Jacob?
Yeah, a few questions, Mayor. So on COVID-19, to start out, we had a question about what strategies do you think are working that have generally kept the city's positive caseload trending downward over the last couple of weeks?
I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of getting higher mask compliance. It's a combination of staying socially distanced. It's not having nightclubs open past 11, I think is a plus, particularly when we've been in a period of time where some colleges have started in-person classes, and you know that if you're watching the news that there are cases that result from that. And most of the schools in the city of St. Louis are virtual. So I think it's a whole combination of things, and it's not really possible to say, oh, it was this one thing, because it's a combination of things. Some of the scientists and physicians say if we could get 95% mask compliance across the country, we would significantly reduce the numbers and be able to significantly improve. But we haven't been able to do that. In the city of St. Louis, we have pretty good mask compliance. I think in St. Louis County, we have pretty good mask compliance, and in Illinois. But we have large areas that don't have very much mask compliance at all. And so in the state of Missouri. And so we theorize, because we don't know this for sure, but we theorize that is one of the things that's keeping our hospitalization numbers up. And we don't know that for sure because we don't know where people live who are in the hospital. But we do know that the more cases you have, the more people likely go to the hospital.
So Dana's question has to do with whether or not the city has a mandate about people quarantining after they get a test, even if their test is negative, but maybe they live or have been around people who have tested positive.
So Dana, if you go to get a test, that test tells you 2, 3, 4, 5 days later, tells you whether or not you were positive at the minute you had the test. It does not tell you whether you're positive 5 days later. So we recommend that if you have a test that you self-quarantine, stay home until you get the results of the test back. After that, if you believe you've been exposed, well, of course, stay home. But if you don't have any reason to believe that you've been exposed to somebody who is positive for more than 10 minutes without wearing a mask and without social distancing, then no, it's really, you've got to use some of your good judgment on this one.
Question from Annika, Mayor. Have we seen an impact on our COVID-19 numbers with schools, or is it helping that most of our schools in the city are virtual?
It's helping that most of the schools are virtual. It's helping the COVID numbers. We're seeing some impact from young people who have gone to college. We see some, so we're seeing some cases there. We also know that there are colleges around the country who sometimes send the young person home. Maybe they go to school in, I don't know, Kansas City or Illinois or Kentucky, wherever. And then if they're positive, some kids come home then. So that's, of course, then widens the exposure. So it's both ways on that.
On the elections, Mayor, the expanded sites have the touch screens.
Yes.
Is it possible to vote on paper, in-person absentee?
No, thanks for that question. I meant to mention that when I was talking about the 4 sites. It's not possible to vote on paper at the remote sites because of how many ballots they would have to have. Because when you vote for one thing where you live, and we all vote for the same main things. We're going to vote for president, we're going to vote for governor, but we'll vote for different state senators. We'll vote for different state representatives. So there are other things on the ballot that would cause you to maybe vote one ballot while I'm voting a different one, and that's why it has to be touch screen, because the touch screen is very it can pull up the right ballot for you based on where you live, even though you might live in South St. Louis and you might be voting at the downtown library, or you might be voting at somewhere else, but it can still pull up the right ballot for you where you live.
Also on COVID-19, Mayor, Charles's question is, has the city issued any recommendations or orders related to Halloween and trick-or-treating that'll be happening next month?
We have not issued any orders or made any recommendations with regard to Halloween. I was just thinking about that this morning. At my house, we normally have lots and lots of trick-or-treaters, and it's a fun evening, and we usually sit on the front porch and hand out candy and ask the kids to tell us a joke if they've got one. At this point in time, and Halloween's about 6 weeks away, there hasn't been a recommendation. I will say, if things are like they are today, then that's probably a recommendation that, we won't be too keen about having Halloween and having lots of kids in lots of groups running up to the doors and everybody breathing on each other. So I'm not optimistic about Halloween, but nothing has been stated yet.
So we have questions about downtown and the East Bridge, Mayor. What is the general status of some of the changes to downtown streets? Are bike police still out? When is the East Bridge open and closed, and general questions like that?
Yes, bike police are still out. Yes, additional police officers are out on weekend nights when we have experienced a lot of cruising and dangerous, illegal driving. Eads Bridge. I'm glad you asked that question because I talked about this a week ago, I think it was, and I'm not sure I told you exactly right. The Eads Bridge is open from Monday morning at 6 a.m., a little before 6, until Friday at 9 p.m. It closes Friday night about 9 p.m. It reopens Saturday morning about 6 a.m. So it's open during the day on Saturday. Saturday night, it recloses about 9, or reopens at 5 or 6 in the morning on Sunday, and the same for Sunday night. So long and the short of it, Eads Bridge is closed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, 9 in the evening till 5 or 6 in the morning. The rest of the time it's open. We worked with St. Clair County on this. We understand that Eads Bridge is a major connector. And so while it was closed completely for close to 2 weeks, this new schedule was put in place last weekend.
Leah's question is, what can the city do, if anything, about a lot of expired temp tags on cars that drive recklessly downtown?
So 2 different things: driving recklessly, not good. Expired tags, that's one thing. Temp tags are another thing. So it's really the traffic violations of driving dangerously where that's a higher priority. But we also do issue thousands of tickets a year for expired or temp tags. And I know that it is a very frustrating situation for many people because I hear from those folks. So it's one of those things we have to continue to work on. You know, there are some solutions, but they would be legislative solutions, like when you buy a car, used or new, you could pay the sales tax there at wherever you bought it, and you could get, then your sales tax would be paid up, and then you'd get your regular plates. But that is something that Missouri legislature has not seen fit to put into place. And so what happens is now you buy a car, and then you've got 30 days, I believe it is, and within that 30 days you're supposed to go in and pay your sales tax. But you may have spent all your money buying a car and you don't have the money to pay your sales tax. Now you have to go in and have an inspection. So it is a disjointed process right now, which leads us to have a lot of temporary tags or expired tags.
We have some prop and ask questions, Mayor.
Good.
Where are they at, the houses that we're working on? And do you know when they're going to be available for purchase?
Let's see if I've still got my list here. Here we go. So there are 3 houses. If you go on our website, and let's post that again if we could, because it's really, I find it pretty interesting. It'll tell you, there's a tab about the program, tell you how the program works. There's a tab that'll say, here, you can nominate a house. There's a tab that shows you what houses are in the pilot project. I think there's 14 of them. And then it'll, the last tab, which when I looked a couple days ago, there wasn't anything on it yet, is a tab where it says, here's one of these houses that is available for sale. So there are 3 houses that are either being worked on or have been worked on. One is on Wren, the 4900 block of Wren. One's on Ferris, the 5900 block of Ferris, and one's on Ashland. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. So there are 3 houses. Go on our website, you'll see them. We expect for those houses to be available pretty soon for someone who wants to buy that house. And let me say this, what we do with those houses is we put a roof on, or we tuck point them. We try to get them watertight. They still need work. They're not ready to go. So you can buy them though, and many people are willing to tackle a property, a building, if those major things have been done. So these houses still need plenty of work, but they've had some major stuff done on them.
So we did get a couple of questions, Mayor, about on the back end when they get sold. How does the city make sure that the people buying them actually do the work, make it something better, and don't then let it fall into disrepair again?
That's part of the contract that you sign when you buy one of these houses. And you have a certain amount of time to go ahead and make the improvements and then to occupy the house, or you can resell the house, but to get someone in it. So That's all part of the program because we are trying to stabilize these properties. You know, our built environment here in St. Louis is really one of our biggest assets. We have all these brick homes, and what we're trying to do here is not to have them fall into further disrepair. It doesn't take very long for a house that's empty, that's got a lousy roof, or that needs to be tuck pointed, and so it begins taking on water. And the next thing you know, and it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, that house is in really bad shape. And there is a point of no return on houses. And when you drive around the city, you'll see some of these houses. The back fell off or the side fell off. And often by the time it gets to that point, nobody's willing to take on that house. And so we're trying to stabilize our housing stock, repopulate our city, give opportunities to people to own homes that might not otherwise have an opportunity to do that. And that's the point of Prop NS.
So last question, because it's almost 2:30. Denise would like to know how Prop NS, if there's a way for people in the community that are surrounded by LRA properties, do they have an opportunity to be involved and rehab some of them on their own?
Absolutely. So the city has a number of programs, but if you live on a block, let's say, and LRA has either some buildings, houses, 2 families, 4 families, or some vacant lots, those are available to you to purchase. Some of them are extremely inexpensive. We even have some that are available for $1. So go on LRA's website, and you'll be there once you get to the Prop NS. But there's the Dollar House program. There is a mow to own. In other words, if you've got an LRA lot next door to you and you mow it for 2 years, you can own it. And then there's the Prop NS. We, the city, LRA, we don't want to own these properties. We are the owner of last resort. We only own properties that where the owner, the original owner, has not paid the taxes for at least 3 years, usually 3, 4, sometimes 5 years or longer. And that house or property went to the tax sale on the courthouse steps. No one bid on it. It went again. No one bid on it. It went a third time. No one bid on it. Then LRA ends up owning it. We don't want to own these buildings. We're not, we don't have the resources to care for these in the same way that you would if you live next door. And you'll cut the grass every 10 days. We cut the grass every 6 weeks, or sometimes worse. So anyway, we don't want to own them. You can find out ways to own these properties. And I think it's a good opportunity for people who have the capacity to fix things up, and maybe you live in the house and you'll rent the one next door out. So
2:30.
it's 2:30. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. I'll be at Clean Sweep tomorrow, and maybe we'll post some pictures of that. For those of you that have the time, tomorrow, Sunday, next week, drive up to see the Grand Water Tower. I think you'll see it looks a lot better after it's painted than it does today. And so I'll be doing that tomorrow, and I'll be going to Lou Brock's funeral. So I feel honored to have an invitation to that. He certainly is a St. Louis hero. He's the base burglar. So we'll all miss him. Thank you.